Morning everybody, I'm here with Jon Fuller and a small band of people outside New Scotland Yard in central London. So I'm going to ask Jon what's going on. There's been a lot of things in the news recently with the Met police officer and commissioners saying that they're going to be coming down very hard on protesters. So let's ask Jon what's going on.
Okay, yeah, so Cressida Dick, the Metropolitan Commissioner, has tried to put people off coming to Extinction Rebellion protests that begin on the 23rd of August. She's been very critical of the protests and urged people not to come into London to protest. And she has also said that she will be firm but fair. Now, I think that it's incredibly important for the police and for the Met Commissioner to acknowledge certain facts. Let's just get certain facts right. The Met is here and it works incredibly hard to save hundreds of lives, to stop hundreds of people from being murdered. That is their core job, to protect people and to protect property. Extinction Rebellion is here to stop billions of people from being murdered. Billions of people. Now, Potsdam Institute for Climate Impacts Research, Professor Sir David King, loads of reputable scientists say that literally billions of lives will be lost. Billions of people will be killed unless we stop climate and ecological breakdown. Now, Cressida Dick doesn't seem to appreciate or understand the reasons why we come here and why we do what we do. Now, none of us want to turn up on the 23rd of August just for the fun of it. You know, I'm 63, sitting down on a solid concrete floor or in a road for hours on end. It's flipping painful. It hurts. And it's flipping hard work. And we've all got families, lots of us have got jobs, we've got other things that we want to be doing. But we have to do this if we are to save billions of people from being murdered. Now, it is murder because there are politicians and there are business figures, there are the media who work incredibly hard to allow polluting activities to carry on and on and on, and even expand polluting industries like aviation. The government still wants to expand aviation. The government still wants to build more roads. So, despite knowing that people are going to be killed, and in huge numbers, the politicians are still carrying on. I want to mention something, Fergal, that I think a lot of people know about, but I want to just emphasise this point about the Metropolitan Police. Back in 2019, 39 people went into their local police station and asked the Metropolitan Police to conduct a criminal investigation into the activities of three politicians. Three senior politicians who are responsible for trying to increase greenhouse gas emissions in certain sectors and maintaining greenhouse gas emissions in other sectors at unnecessarily high levels. And we said that people are dying, hundreds of thousands of people are dying now every single year. 1,000 children a day are being killed by climate breakdown. And we said that there was a piece of legislation that allowed the Met to mount a criminal investigation. If the Met just simply did that, started a criminal investigation, the politicians would be so shocked they would stop and they would say, okay, all right, okay, we won't expand any further polluting industries. We're going to take this seriously. That legislation is the International Criminal Court Act 2001. And if somebody wants to look up a precise piece of information, it's Article 32B of the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. And that provides for situations like this where politicians are going to pursue a series of policies that they know will result in mass loss of life. They can claim they didn't mean to cause mass loss of life, but they know that is the outcome. So, Fergal, if you could just briefly look at the yellow banner across there briefly.
Yeah.
That's why this yellow banner here says, "We asked the police to protect us, refused." And that's what that refers to. The Met Commissioner knows full well that they could have stopped this, and if the Met Commissioner had acted to protect the lives of Londoners rather than protect the interests of the politicians, then Extinction Rebellion protests would not be necessary. So we want to emphasise to the police...
So I'm just going to ask you about this. So I remember this is 2019 and this is when people went into police stations.
Yes, all around the country.
All around the country.
Yes.
And asking the police to investigate what you've just said.
Yes.
And I know you've had a lot of backwards and forwards correspondence.
Yes.
Right.
So the police categorically... It's just going to be a loud noise in a second. So the police said that for the legislation to apply, there had to be intent. And we said, but Article 32B overrules that. It allows for the police to actually mount a criminal investigation. And it's exactly that situation that applies. Now, the police and the appeal authorities categorically refused to answer at that point. We kept on putting it to them, why won't you consider this point? No answer. And there were there were dozens of communications that went backwards and forwards, and the police and the appeal authorities would not answer that point. And so we took it to the International Criminal Court. Now, the International Criminal Court has asked for 3 pieces of information, 3 separate letters, 3 different pieces of information. They are not arguing that the question of intent is applicable here. They're asking who's died, where they've died, is it in the jurisdiction of countries that have committed to the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, and they've asked for the data. So the International Criminal Court appear to be in a quandary about what to do about this, because this would mean taking criminal action against the most powerful people on the planet. And is the ICC ready to do that? At the moment, they're just at the phase of asking us lots of questions, and we're answering every single question. So the ball is in their court. And I think it could be profoundly shocking to every polluting industry, businessman, business figure who is trying to trash the planet if they suddenly realised the International Criminal Court was going to act and prosecute not just the politicians, the business figures, and arguably the police authorities could be prosecuted because they had the power to protect people but refused to do so. Now, I've mentioned one other thing, Fergal, about this. When we did this in 2019, we chose a date deliberately to go into the police station, and that was the 20th of November. The reason for that was it was the anniversary of the Nuremberg trials. Now, the Nuremberg trials established this point that you can't just say that you were following orders. That is not a defence. That's not an excuse. If you pursue a policy or take actions that result in hundreds of thousands or millions of people being killed, then you are liable. And if you use your office, like the Metropolitan Police uses its office, to allow and facilitate destructive behaviour to continue, then ultimately you could be prosecuted. So Cressida Dick could end up on trial for this, and other senior police officers could end up on trial for this. And I think that is the direction of travel. If you want me to, Fergal, I can also just briefly mention that there was a gathering of young climate activists called Mock COP26, and they set out, they had a big gathering, representatives from every country around the world, and they had a big gathering, they had a big gathering at which they discussed what they wanted to see from COP26, and they adopted a treaty, and in that treaty they said they wanted a law of ecocide to be introduced that would cover the full range of damage that's done, to the natural world, but also the people who have been killed, the millions of people to be killed. And they added this key point, that they wanted the penalties to reflect the scale of harm caused. Now, what is the penalty for killing 1,000 children a day? What is the penalty for killing over 1 billion human beings? What is that penalty? And I would ask everybody, no matter what your position in society, whether you're a police officer, whether you're a business figure, whether you're a politician, to just consider that moment, what should the penalty be for a politician or a business figure or a public servant who allows 1,000 children a day to be killed? So, coming back to this protest here, I've mentioned a couple of other things. You've got another placard down here, Cressida saving your job, XR saving the world. And I think this is a reference to the fact that, does the Met Commissioner see her role as to protect herself and the reputation of the police in the eyes of the politicians, or does the Met actually exist to protect Londoners from having their homes flooded, from having their property destroyed, from ever more extreme weather events that can destroy more and more homes in London, from sea level rise? An outer Thames barrier will not be able to hold back. So we could lose hundreds of thousands of properties in London. And ultimately, if the food supply collapses, then millions of people, millions of Londoners could die. And that would be on Cressida Dick's head. she would be responsible, because it's this decade, this time right now, the choices we make now that either save those lives or result in people being killed. So I'm going to come back one more time to just mention this. The task of the Met, they do work hard to stop the murder of hundreds of people. XR is working hard to stop the murder of billions of people. And we need everybody in the Met to understand that message. We respect your job, respect our job. And we're only doing our job because you wouldn't do your job and stop the politicians.
Yeah.
That's enough from me, I think.
No, John, as always, I'm going to give you a little bit of a breather. I'm going to have a chat with a couple of people here. Right, and don't worry, I'm going to come back to you.
Okay.
Here we go. So yeah, in case you're just joining us, we're outside New Scotland Yard in central London on Monday before the start of the next rebellion on the 23rd of August. There's been a lot of back and forth with the Metropolitan Police Commissioner Chief Crisinda Dick, who said that they are going to come down hard on protesters, right? Peaceful protesters who sit in the middle of the road, block a couple of cars, and there's all this heavy talk about how you're going to deal with it. We've just heard from Jon Fuller the fact that the bigger crime going on is the fact that we are in an ecological climate emergency. The IPCC report that came out on Monday, just last week, is absolutely shocking, saying we actually really have to act right now. So the whole question here is, who is the real criminals? So we've got this building behind us, New Scotland Yard, who seem to be very much focused on saving the reputation of politicians and claiming that the blocking of roads outside Parliament is not lawful. Let's see what some people have to say about this. Hello, how you doing?
I'm fine.
Yeah, why are you standing here this morning?
Oh, all sorts of reasons. But I'll just say that our protests are absolutely proportionate when you consider what's going on around the world. When you consider we've had floods right here in London.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how close does it have to get, basically? So I'm definitely going to be protesting next week.
Yeah.
It's very important for the planet, basically, for all of us, grandchildren, children. So I would say that this is a proportionate response, our protest, and should be protected.
Absolutely.
Not discouraged.
Yeah, okay, absolutely. See you on the streets next week.
Thank you.
Well,
You too.
hey, how you doing? Do you want to have a quick word? Yeah.
It's on 2 seconds, it's easier.
There we go.
Hopefully.
How are things? What's your
Fine,
name?
thank you. I'm Mark.
Mark.
Yep.
So Mark, what brings you here today?
I just wanted to show solidarity with other people that are protesting against the way in which things are being dealt with at the moment in this country, and that the right to protest is seeming to be eliminated. And also the fact that, you know, when you only have to look at the news for the last 10 days to see what's going on in the world, and that we need to take more action to actually make some difference.
Yeah.
And the politicians seem to be saying things or saying words that other people seem to pick up and think is okay, but actually there's no action. Nothing's actually being done. So somebody needs to do something.
And so today this is all about the fact that there's Crisinda Dick has come out on the press and is doing all this hard talk about coming down hard on protesters.
Yes.
What we've got now is in the news. We've got like Europe on fire. We've had record temperatures in Italy there.
Yeah, we've got rain in Japan. It's causing 2 million people to be kept off the streets.
Yeah,
it's crazy. So what's a proportionate response? Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, great. And I take it you're a man of the faith.
Yes. I'm a United Reformed Church minister.
Yeah. Okay. And the whole, I've spoken to quite a few people from like XR Southend Demo. And it was quite amazing. There was one banner, and there was somebody from the Jewish community, somebody from the Buddhist community. There was a Sikh. I've never seen like all people of different religions and faiths coming together.
Yeah, and I think they are. I think lots of people share the same views because they're realising this is actually a threat to the whole of humanity. Whatever your religious faith, whatever your understanding of what the world's about, it is a threat to us as humanity.
Yeah, there we go. So a message for everybody: come out and join us in the streets.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's just zoom back out again. So this is quite good. It's quite interesting today. We haven't actually had any. No police have arrived. Any of you young men want to say anything?
No.
I see you guys. You come here and you do like a lot of come up and give a lot of support with John. It's great.
Oh yes, we do. John's brilliant.
Thanks for that. How you doing?
Hello.
You've always got some.
Fine, Fergus. Virgil, I haven't got anything particular to say today.
Yeah. But you know, but the thing is, it's like, you know, I see you all the time. You're always on the streets. It's great the input that you put into it.
Well, thank you. Well, there's nowhere else I'd rather be.
Yeah.
And I just think people need to step up. This is the least I can do. I mean, I'm standing here and it's not even raining with a flag.
Yeah.
You know. And you know, people all over the world are disappearing in mud, water, fire. Not just people, but you know, creatures. And there's absolute devastation.
Yeah.
We are the lucky ones, and the very least we can do is come out and try and campaign for some kind of justice. Because we're not getting justice from the courts, and we're not going to get fairness from the police, I'm afraid.
No,
I'm sorry to say.
We've seen the way like some of the courts have come down very heavy on, you know, very disproportionate on protesters.
Absolutely.
You know, it's shocking.
Invest in Zoom.
I feel the legal system, it's a perverted kind of justice, actually. And the real criminals are getting away with it, with terrible crimes. Peaceful protesters are being harassed and prosecuted.
Yeah.
And that actually breaks my heart. And I think with the police bill imminent, it's going to make our position even harder.
It's crazy, yeah.
And
the police crime sentencing courts bill is like, you know, it's getting rushed through.
It appears to be getting rushed through.
You know, which is really scary. Even the likes of this now would be deemed to be illegal.
I think it's absolutely.
Yeah.
And are we moving into a police state?
Yeah.
You know, are we already in a police state? It's very worrying.
It is. Well, keep up the good work. Thank you very much. Pan out again. In case you're just joining us, we're outside New Scotland Yard in central London. It's a very nice, peaceful protest going on. Just a reminder to the Metropolitan Police that their inaction is being noted, and for the fact that there has been a case brought against several politicians in this country for their inaction on climate change, which seems to be ignored. So this is ahead of next Monday, and people are saying, well, we want to have the right to protest, and also that you're not doing your job. Have a chat with this. Hi, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing?
Good. What's your name?
My name's Melanie.
Melanie. Let me guess. Are you part of the same faith?
Yeah, I'm a United Reformed Church minister, which is a mainstream Christian denomination in this country, in the UK.
There we go. And what does the vast majority of the, you know, I suppose I was going to say the clergy or the religious organisations, their views on climate change?
To be quite honest, it's some of us have been a bit slow on the uptake, but we're realising how very, very important this is, because it's affecting communities across the world. And if ever there's an organisation that claims to have in mind different people and the lives of different people and the care for different souls, it's the church. And we're seeing the impacts across the globe. There's been organisations like CAFOD and Christian Aid that have been speaking for decades on the impact of the changing climate, and have been campaigning about that. And the realisation of the urgency is really hitting hard, and clergy are very much getting on board with the idea that we need to do something right now. In fact, actually, we're a little bit behind the curve and it's all a little bit too late. There are going to be some devastating effects across the planet, and it's the duty of all governments to protect as many lives as they can, because it's going to get an awful lot worse than the floods we've seen, the fires we've seen, the melting of the ice caps. That's all going to just increase and affect more lives. And if we think that, you know, we're a country with a good infrastructure that can ensure ourselves out of any situation, then we're sadly deluded. The government, if it's wanting to make decisions that is going to protect us in the future, have got to be on the side of encouraging people to speak up, speak out, and make a change.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you're right. Like the effects here, you know, it compared to like the global south, like the poor communities are like Chad is getting like completely decimated. We got Madagascar. We got, like, you know, there's a famine in southern Madagascar starting. I think it's about 30 million people around the world are like, our foods. There's kind of like short is a kind of a terminology for it, like they're kind of like they're food stressed.
Yes.
So we're feeling kind of like the effects, but not directly.
We are coping with 37 degrees heat in Cambridge on one day of a year, because it's unusual, and we sweat a little bit and we say, gosh, it wasn't that hot, and then we move on. We have floods, we clean up afterwards, a few businesses are destroyed, insurance often covers it, or the community raises funds, but that obviously cannot happen in countries that have got less stable infrastructure than we've got. I'm very passionate about what's happening in the Pacific Islands right now, and they are just being already, they're finding it harder to have food security, that their land masses are moving away, and governments are thinking about where we're going to move our people, not for just in case a forward plan, it's when we can no longer inhabit these islands.
That's like Karabuti and it's all the little tiny.
I'm going to be really mean now and correct you. The correct pronunciation is Kiribati.
Kiribati.
Yes.
Kiribati, right.
Kiribati,
okay.
yeah.
There's a lot of things I can't pronounce.
Well, me too. That just happens to be one that I know.
Is it Kiribati? Yeah.
Kiribati, yeah.
Yeah, no, but they're actually having proper evacuation plans now of like where they're going to move to. So
exactly.
this is like, we've got COP26 in October
in Glasgow,
coming up,
yeah.
and the Pacific Nations, they got sold out last time, having to sign this kind of like gagging order type thing, that they wouldn't come after richer countries.
That's right.
So yeah, it is absolutely shocking. Keep up the good work.
Bless you. Thank you very much, and you.
Thank you very much. And any advice to anybody watching this?
Just keep on shouting out, doing the little things you can, but remember, it's the government, it's the big multinational corporations that have to make the change. So think about the ethical decisions of how you vote, about where you shop, what you buy, and your lifestyle, and force those companies that you buy from to make a change for the better now, before it's too late for everyone.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's talk to. I recognise this guy. Oh, how you doing? Do you want to say something? No. Peter, how you doing?
Not bad, thank you, Fergal. Not bad at all.
Yeah. What brings you back out onto the streets?
Well, I've never actually hidden away indoors.
Yeah.
What brings me out is because I'm very worried about the tone in the media, that especially what's coming out of the Met's head office by Dame Cressida Dick. She seems to be ramping it up along the lines of those nasty XR protesters are going to be coming out and we'll be dealing firmly with them. There doesn't seem to be a middle ground. In fact, we've even got a visit from one now.
Here we go.
This face. It's the unshaven thing. Anytime there's a protest, we're from the diplomatic department, so anytime there's a protest, we just turn up just to make sure everything's okay. Is there an organiser here today, or yourself? Do I just have a quick chat with yourself?
I'm really pleased. We did one of these in 2019, and when we came out here around the corner here, suddenly these van doors opened up, and all these police officers came piling up, and I said, "Are you here for us?"
Yes, just the two of us today. That's all.
There was a huge, great big, there were 3 police vans, and one police van completely empty to cover, and we were a bit taken aback. And then
sometimes there's issues, aren't there, depending on who turns up and how many, but today it all looks fairly peaceful.
It is, yes. So this was, you've got the police reference number here, the EIP number, and this is the briefing I gave to all our people. So you're very welcome to see that. And so the key thing that we do is that if there's going to be a strictly lawful demonstration, then you will find that there are people like me who you can say is the organiser.
Yeah.
But the rest of Extinction Rebellion's work is it's like there are no organisers. It's very difficult to say, well, whose idea was this? Things happen, people come together, they agree to come together, and then what happens after that is anybody's guess. So in this case, when we're doing small demonstrations like this and I organise them, then they're strictly lawful.
Yeah, brilliant.
And everybody's told that, who's coming in advance. I say to them, we feel that we need to do this demonstration outside the Metropolitan Police. We need to get a message to the Met Commissioner, and if you want to come, it's strictly lawful.
Okay, great.
All right?
I'll take your details. I'm sure I've got them on our system. It's all on here anyway.
It's all on there.
Okay.
So you've got my name, and then down the bottom, contact Jon Fuller. And
That's you. Brilliant.
All right.
Okay, I'll leave it at that then.
Okay.
All right then.
And we'll only be here till 12.
12 o'clock, yeah.
We feel
Not
that we
expecting
made
any
up.
more than this.
No. So we'll be here till 12, and then I'm expecting that at that point we feel we've made our message, made our point, and we'll send pictures to the Met Commissioner, and we've also done it.
Okay, great.
All right.
All right then, thanks for your time.
Okay.
Cheers.
Okay.
There we go. There we go. I was surprised you didn't ask them about how the investigation's going on. So
yeah, I guess he won't express an opinion on that. He won't know about it, and he won't express an opinion on it. So this is very different to the last time we came.
I was actually going to say, like, was it a year and a half ago?
It was actually in 2019.
2019.
So it was just a fraction over 2 years ago. We came here and we did a protest outside New Scotland Yard, and it was myself and Rod. We were walking in this direction. Suddenly this police van opened up, and a load of police officers came bounding over to us, and it was initially surprising, perhaps confrontational, but we were fine. We're calm, and I think on our side, Rod, we handled it very well. And then the police were satisfied that we were saying, it would be a peaceful, lawful protest, and sort of shuffled away and kept an eye on us. But on this occasion, I suspect they know the kinds of demonstrations that I organise, and if I say to them it will be lawful, it is lawful. And I think there are times when that's really, really important. Extinction Rebellion is able to do that, to say, look, we're going to do some of these small things like this. We want to convey a very powerful message to somebody, and it will be a lawful protest. And that is what we're doing today.
Yeah, no, very good, very good.
Okay.
And just because we were here before covering what happened in 2019 and in 2020, and we've seen all different types of different actions outside this place.
Yes.
But what we've got more seriously now going on is the fact we've got the Police Crime Sentencing and Courts Bill,
yes, 2021,
that's getting pushed through Parliament with 307 pages of new laws that's going to stop single protest and
Now, the big problem we've got here with that new legislation is, would we even be allowed to have this peaceful protest here today? Because when that bill goes through, it gives so much power and so much judgment to the Chief Commissioner, Cressida Dick, and to the Home Secretary. And the problem is that if the Home Secretary decides, and Cressida Dick were to decide, look, this is really very annoying. This protest here today is very annoying.
Especially this guy here.
Yeah, especially this guy here. Cressida Dick, saving your job, Extinction Rebellion, saving the world.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now, she might find that very offensive, and she may say, well, I'm banning that, and you won't be allowed to do it. And under that legislation, that could be the case. So we make a powerful point, and we're willing to defend that. If somebody argues with us about that, if Cressida Dick said to me, that's unfair, then I would debate that with her. But we ought to have the right, the British people ought to have the right to protest peacefully, and this is what we're doing. But that new legislation, when it comes through, it's so wide-ranging, it's so extensive, and it leaves so much to judgment that even mild protests like this could be banned.
You can ban one single person who can be deemed to be making a nuisance.
Yes.
So you can have the likes of the person who's outside Parliament with just shouting.
Yes.
And that can be deemed a nuisance. And also
it's extensive. It goes across the whole of society.
Yeah.
It's actually much broader than just simply our right to protest. Yeah. It impacts loads and loads of different communities. Yeah. And I don't believe that the press, the media, the TV companies have really explained that to the public. And one of the arguments I always make is that if you don't have access to reliable information, if you don't have access to the facts, then you're not really living in a democracy. It's not a free and open democracy if the people do not know things like the science that says that literally billions of people could be killed by climate change. And what we do right now over these next 8, 9, 10 years determines whether we kill billions of people or not. Now, if most people understood the sheer gravity, the staggering scale of the threat, then their attitudes would be different, the way they vote would be different, the demands they make of politicians would be different, and the whole national debate would be different. So because that information is withheld from people, I argue it's not a fully functioning democracy. Yeah. It's not a functioning democracy.
Yeah, we don't have the fact that we've had, in the last 18 months, we've had an emergency. We have multiple emergencies going on, and we've got a health emergency with COVID.
Yes.
And we've been bombarded, like just on all the media, day in, day out, turn it on, it's COVID, and it's like they're talking it to like, you know, it's 24/7, right? So with COVID, we've got a vaccine, right? What we've got with climate and ecological breakdown is it's going to be COVID, but every single year.
Yes. And
we're also going to have the spread of diseases, pesticides. We're going to have, you know, what we've seen, runaway temperatures. We're going to have, last year in this country, 38% of the wheat harvest was destroyed.
Yeah.
You know, we've already had, you know, we're going to see food shortages here. We're not talking about it. The press is not talking about it, and the government's not talking about it. And I know, and we're here in front of New Scotland Yard because you're pushing them to do something about it.
Well, indeed, you know, we keep on getting scientific reports. Now, there was one done by the Committee on Climate Change, and they noted that the Gulf Stream, what they call the AMOC, is weakening, and it's the weakest extent in about 1600 years. And if it does stop, then we will only get one harvest in the UK, and it'll be incredibly difficult to get that one harvest. And so our growing season will be dramatically reduced, and that tipping point could just happen at any point. Now, that Committee on Climate Change report warned that if that happened, that there would be dramatic impacts upon the food supply in the UK. And yet the media did report that there were some startling things in that report, but didn't actually go into the detail about the really frightening stuff about the threat to our food supply. Now, do most parents who've got young children in this country understand that their children are growing up into a world where they're going to have incredibly disrupted food supplies? Do most people actually understand that? I'm going to argue that most people do not understand it. They are aware climate change is real. Most people are aware it is dangerous, and they may be fearful for the future. But the sheer extent of the threat to the youngest members of our families, I don't think most people understand that.
No. If they did, they'd be they'd actually be here joining us.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. I think that not everybody can get involved in Extinction Rebellion protest and be arrested, obviously. You know, you're a carer, your job doesn't allow it, you're in full-time education, whatever it is. Not everybody can get involved in the Extinction Rebellion protest, but everybody can do something. Everybody can choose the way they vote, to vote and demand of politicians that they change. That is what we need. And I firmly believe that far more people would come out protesting and making different demands of the politicians, changing the way they vote, if they knew the gravity of the threat.
No, absolutely.
Okay.
How do you feel, you know, we were talking before about members of the Met Police themselves, you know, who do we hold responsible, Met Commissioner, officers on a lower level, you know, and how a lot of the time when we meet them on the street, they would say we are sympathetic to cause, you know, because they've got friends, family, they've got children as well, but they're here upholding the law, right?
Yes, that's right. So we are here, if you like, to really challenge the Met Police to rethink their approach to Extinction Rebellion protests. As individual police officers, they're going to be like members of the public, and in society, and they will be, 80% of people here will be and 80% of people
He's a good guy. He gets it. He's got fabric. Do you have a quick word? Good. But this is the whole thing, is we're all in this together.
Absolutely.
You know, it's just like, you know, I know people from different backgrounds. You know, and you know, even coppers on the ground, they get it. They understand what's going on.
That's the whole power of the XR movement. Is it crosses all divides. It involves all people, old, young, and that's its power, really. And the only way that we're going to challenge this recent legislation, it's numbers on the streets. It's actually going to be numbers that makes the difference in this struggle, because otherwise we're doomed, you know. I mean, it's that bad, and the evidence now is getting so extensive that people cannot avoid it.
You can't argue with it.
No.
You can't argue with physics.
No, it's amazing, isn't it? That over this whole COVID thing, it's been trust the science, trust the science. And yet on climate change, well, you know, the science ain't always right.
I know. How can you argue with like tens of thousands of peer-reviewed scientific papers?
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And you get the odd Tory MP come out and give his, you know, procrastinations about it when there's like 12,000 scientists that have all agreed this is actually happening.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is that if they are right and it's not that serious, well, fine. I hope they're right. Nothing will happen. We've wasted our time.
Yeah.
But if we're right, we ain't going to get a second chance. So what would prudence guide you to do?
I know, but it's a precautionary principle.
Absolutely.
If you think there's a small chance of an accident happening, you do something about it.
Yeah.
You know, if there was a 1 in 10 or 1 in 100 chance of you putting your children or grandchildren onto an airplane and it blowing up, would you put your kids on it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you've bombarded over this last year and a half. Trust the science. Trust the science. Well, I say, trust the science.
Well, yeah, trust the science. This is why people need to, you know, come out in the streets. Our media is failing us.
Yeah.
Our government's failing us.
Yeah.
The police, you know, it looks like they're ganging up on peaceful protesters.
Absolutely.
You know,
we cannot rely on anybody else getting us out of this. It's down to each and every one of us to actually do whatever it is we can, and every little helps. What more can you say? Not asking for your life savings. Just stand up and be counted, because can we actually sit back and think this is what we're leaving the future generation, this is what we're leaving our young, because they're the ones who are going to have to pick up the tab. I'm 71, you know, possibly I may get away with experiencing the worst effects, possibly, but that's not guaranteed, depending how long I've got, of course. But the young, my daughter, 28, 21, 29, what's she facing? And I've left her this, we've left them this. This is our legacy. I'm ashamed.
well, yeah, keep up the good work. I mean, yeah. And there we go, motivation for anybody to come and join us on the streets. Let's see, I haven't had a chat with these guys. How you doing?
Oh, hi.
Fair means stopping the politicians from killing the people. What's going on?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that, reflecting on the last year of the pandemic and the subsequent reaction that we've all had to take, the crisis and the emergency we've been through. That's Christmas present compared to what's coming up, and for the amount of people that were or weren't saved, we need to be responding as a collective and as an international collective to that degree for the ongoing future, not just for the next year or 3 months. And it's interesting that we can get our head around something of that size. We can get it if it's us against the Germans. We get that, right? But we can't get this, and somehow it needs to be framed in a way that everyone, not just the supposedly tree-hugging, hemp-smelling crusties, which we clearly are, but literally those 3 people over there and those guys on the bus and that guy on the boat, everybody should be doing this. It's all our business, because it's all our air, and we all eat the same food, we all sit on the same bus, we all it's not a political thing. It's not like, oh well, you're a Tory, you're a Conservative, you're a Republican, you're non-meat eater, I love it. It's nothing. It's like we're all in this together, and that message has not really started to sink in.
Yeah, we had the article in the Telegram saying that the police must act, our governments must act to stop Extinction Rebellion to save our grandchildren, and it was just like the most mixed up message you could ever imagine. Yeah, it was
stop them to save our grandchildren.
It was the most stupidest. It was supposed to be satire, and it was like when you start thinking about like how the framing is going on. What we're talking about is science. What Jon's talking about is he's talking about what police should be doing to stop crimes happening.
Right.
And what we've got like the likes of the Shell Museum having an exhibition, our future planet, sponsored by Shell Oil. You know?
That was massive.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, and you asked that, what's in it for them? These guys aren't idiots. They've got a lot of money. It always comes down to money.
Yeah.
You know, like, and so the same guys, the 3.2 trillion dollars that's been given to fossil fuel subsidies since the Paris Climate Accord.
Yeah.
That's gone. That's nepotism. That's all mates. That's how it works, right?
Yeah.
But why aren't they going? It would take us. It's going to make more money if we don't all die and burn up. We're going to be able to make more money if we live. Why is that not getting through to people?
Yeah, you got a small group of people in vested interest, you know, and they don't think it's really going to affect them, and they're profiteering from it. So we had, you know, previously in history, like when we had like famines before. There's one in Ireland, and it wasn't a potato famine. It was an economical crisis that they had, and it was the laws that were in place were stopping the farmers from eating the corn that they were producing.
Yeah.
You know, while they were allowed to starve. So it's the system is the problem.
So the difference is that it wasn't called a potato famine, but it wasn't. You know, it was the people just left to starve.
Yeah.
But this is the first existential thing. Where the Cuban Missile Crisis, that was a political thing. Mm-hmm. They're all political things. They're all national in wars, right? Mm-hmm. But this isn't that, and I don't think we get it yet.
But that's why if the government's made ecocide law, and the governments can put laws into place that will actually stop this and make it illegal for companies to profit from destroying the planet. No, exactly. That's why we need to.
Why don't they? So who's having dinner with who?
Yeah.
You know, who's shagging who to make that happen?
Yeah.
Someone's doing something. These are decisions. Someone's sitting down and going, right, okay, screw eco law, let's go for dinner. Someone's making that decision.
But we have the Global Warming Policy Foundation. We've got Tufton Street, 55 Tufton Street. These governmental think tanks that we don't know who funds them, making decisions. You know that that are influencing policy and.
Honestly, you have marketing companies spending a lot of money. You always have. You know, you've had it since. You've had it since you know the tobacco wars, right? When they started to sow doubt. Yeah. Lobbyists and marketing companies designed to sow disinformation with like supposed scientists, and then the oil companies picked up on that in the 60s. That looks like good. We can make money out of that.
Yeah.
So and we're still affected by that. Because clearly we're still giving money to fossil fuel exploration.
Yeah, it's called. There's a film out, I don't know, 10, 20 years ago, Merchants of Doubt.
Oh, really?
And this is it. It's sowing disinformation. You know, shocking.
Merchants of Doubt.
Yeah. Do you want to say anything? You're here for support. Yeah. No, but yeah. Look, we all need to do something collectively. Like if we don't.
He does. She does. He definitely does.
Yeah.
And him. You two girls.
I'll say one thing. I'll say one thing. Nobody can breathe underwater. That's one thing I thought earlier.
Nobody can breathe underwater.
Nobody can breathe underwater. So that dispels all the class boundaries and all the other boundaries between everybody. So Boris Johnson can't breathe underwater, neither can someone who's sitting on the street breathe underwater. Like, you know, we're doing this for everybody. That's the one thing I'll say.
And you can't eat money, and I mean, it's bonkers. Anyway, keep up the good work, guys.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah. So, anything to add? I'm going to wrap up pretty soon.
Yes.
This is going to spin around a second.
I don't know what that one's all about. Can I just say, I don't know what that's about. That's nothing to do with that. I don't know what it's about. Anyway, it'd be interesting to go and ask them in case it is connected. Anyway.
There's go somebody else protesting.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Because we've got about 6-7 minutes, and I'd like to keep it to the 12 noon so that they know that if we say we're doing a thing, we're doing a thing. Okay. Then we can go to the pub around the corner, and I'll buy everybody a pub.
So we're going to be wrapping up pretty soon. So is there anything, John? We just walked in this way. We've got to get a bit of peace and quiet down here. Hello, is there anything else you want to add?
Well, I think that today's been very, very successful. I think that we emphasised to the Met Commissioner a number of points, that the Met Police are being irresponsible. that they should be doing more to protect Londoners. There are things that they can do to protect Londoners from climate breakdown, and they ought to be doing it. The Met are not stepping up. I'd like to make one other point, Fergal, and that is that we talked about the legislation. We felt that the Met could have protected Londoners, the people of Britain, by trying to stop the politicians from expanding polluting industries, and we talked about use of the criminal law. The Met Commissioner claimed that she could not pursue that because there was a weakness in the law. It didn't allow her to. But within a few weeks, she went to the Home Secretary and asked for tougher legislation against Extinction Rebellion to stop our protests from being so effective, to stop the scale of the disruption that Extinction Rebellion were causing. So on one hand, Cressida Dick knows that millions of people's lives are in danger, but she won't seek legislation to tackle that. But over here, she knows there's a group of people called Extinction Rebellion who are trying to save people's lives, and she's trying to stop them. She's trying to stop our protests. So I'm going to argue on film, on camera, that Cressida Dick is being callous and irresponsible, and she's behaving unethically. And I think she should be profoundly ashamed of herself. We have every Londoner has a right to expect the police to protect them from those who would kill them. And Cressida Dick is in there, sitting on her hands, doing nothing about this.
And knowing, we just had on Monday the latest intergovernmental panel on climate
There's
change.
no excuse.
The science is like
every
indisputable.
police officer understands the basics of the science. And they will not act to protect the British people. They will not act to protect Londoners. And it's their duty to do so. If somebody is planning, and they are planning, to implement policies that will result in killing people here in London, then that's the Met's job. Their job is to protect the people of London. And when it comes to climate change, comes to politicians, they won't do it.
And this is also the fact that we've seen nearly 3,500 people have been arrested in the largest mass civil disobedience
in the UK
history. It's not getting talked about in the media. And now we're getting people going through the court system, and we're having the judges are throwing the book at them. And a lot of people, it's their first crime. And where is the interest with the public prosecution of actually coming down so hard on people who are acting out of necessity?
Yes, it is definitely. We do act out of necessity. It's the very definition of necessity. That is that your family, the youngest members of your family, could be killed by this. The food supply could be disrupted, could be broken down completely. We could lose our homes due to extreme weather events. This is the very definition of acting out of necessity. And we are doing so peacefully. So really, the media and the politicians should be praising Extinction Rebellion for the work that it's doing, because we are trying to protect life, we're trying to protect property, and we're doing so peacefully. They should be praising us. Instead of that, you've got papers like the Express calling for the Met to come down very hard, is the expression that appeared in the Express yesterday, in the Sunday edition. They used the words very hard on Extinction Rebellion. So this is people trying to protect life, protect property. The Express are so outraged, they want action taken against Extinction Rebellion.
All right, take care. All right. Okay, thank you, John.
All right, pleasure.
Let's just sign off. It's just going to spin around here. So nice little short action with Jon Fuller and friends from Southend. If you're watching this, please share. I'm just going to take this microphone off for 1 second. Hang on, you mic. So if you're around next week, come and join us in London, 23rd, in Parliament Square. Get some friends, get your family, get people who normally don't come to the streets. We need as many people as possible, because what we've just heard, the science is out that we are in an emergency. We all need to act. The government's failing us, the police system's failing us, the media is ganging up and still is not getting the message out about actually how bad the situation we're in. So we all need to act. We need to act now, and come join us in the streets. Get as many people as possible to join as well. Get the conversations going. All right, and please share. Okay, thanks. Bye bye.